Coming up on the Paper Talk today, we'll be looking back at the Luton game. It's always good to look back at a win. There's a few stories doing the rounds on the back of that. Also, Dan Ashworth, is he going to come to Old Trafford or not? Plus, there's some transfer news to get through as well. Let's check it out. Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm outside Old Trafford and it's a little bit breezy, so you might want to put your parkers on if you've got them. Loads of stories to get through. Before we get into all that though, make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. We want to get to 750,000 I should say, subscribers by the end of the season, and with your support we can get there. Right, let's talk a little bit about some afters, if we can call it that, from the Luton game. Then we'll talk a bit more about Dan Ashworth. That's the big story, plus some potential transfer news as well. Yeah, in terms of the Luton game, there's been a little bit of fallout, if you can call it that. I think Rob Edwards after the game was moaning about the fact that there's only 4 minutes of added time at the end of the game, saying, oh well, that's because it's Manchester United. Someone's just come off the bike there. Is he okay? Off his bicycle? I think he's all right, yeah. Yeah, so he's moaning about that, and it becomes a bit of a popular trait, doesn't it, to moan about Manchester United and the decisions we get or whatever. And I think it's completely misguided. I'm going to get to that in a minute about some of the decisions that have gone against Manchester United this season. But yeah, Rob Edwards moaning. I don't think he's got much to moan about. One thing you can't moan about is the performance of Johnny Evans yesterday. Johnny Evans won 100% of his tackles, 3 interceptions, 10 clearances. It was a phenomenal performance by the 36-year-old. And listen, I'm going to put it out there. I wouldn't be against him getting his contracts extended. He's been playing really well this season when he's come into Manchester United. We need that experience. We need that success that he's had here at the club. And if he doesn't just stay on as a player, I wouldn't even mind seeing him joining the coaching staff. Get involved in the comments and let me know what you think about Johnny Evans potentially extending his time at Manchester United, because I thought those 45 minutes we saw at Kenilworth Road for him just summed up what we've been missing sometimes this season at Manchester United from our defenders. Talking of impressive performances as well, Kobbie Mainoo, another great performance from him, and also the front three. Now, Rasmus Højlund got the goals, and there was a lot of criticism for the likes of Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho. I thought Garnacho was a little bit wasteful, but he was at least causing problems. Rashford, I thought, had a better second half than the first half. I know, again, there was some criticisms of him in terms of his lack of pressing or whatever, but I thought the ball for Garnacho in the second half was fantastic. And one stat that we've seen from those front three is when they've played together in the Premier League, Manchester United have won 7 games, lost none, and scored an average of 2.4 goals when we've got Garnacho, Højlund and Marcus Rashford playing together. Just on Rasmus Højlund as well, Erik ten Hag was full of praise, and he spoke about the reasons that Manchester United signed Rasmus Højlund. He spoke about the fact that they looked at his character and the fact how much confidence he's got, and he thinks he expects him to score even more goals. And of course, everyone does. I think now he started scoring in the Premier League, hopefully he won't stop, and he broke another record yesterday, becoming, I think, the youngest player to score in 6 consecutive games, taking that record off Joe Willock at Newcastle. So long may that continue, the goal scoring, and hopefully that front three can continue to deliver results and wins for Manchester United, because when they do play together, Manchester United do score goals and do win football matches, and that's what it's all about. Just on Marcus Rashford as well, as a transfer rumour doing the rounds that he could be going to PSG. Saw this in the Times. Apparently they're looking at him as a potential replacement for Kylian Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe is going to leave Paris in the summer. Looks like he could be heading to Real Madrid. PSG have long been admirers of Marcus Rashford, and latest reports indicate that he could be heading to Paris, or they're interested in him. Is he going to go? He's just signed a long-term deal. He's on mega money here at Manchester United. Not having the best season, but I think he has been a little bit better over the last month or so. I'd like to see Marcus Rashford stay at the club. I know there's a lot of people from what I've seen online who probably wouldn't be that bothered if he leaves. But I always say this, if you look at how much we've struggled on the right-hand side to bring in players, there's no guarantee you sell Marcus Rashford, you're going to adequately replace him. Let me know what you think in the comments and the chat. Anyway, if we are going to do any transfer business, one man who could be at the helm of that is Dan Ashworth, but it ain't going to be easy to get him from Newcastle. There's a lot of reports doing the rounds this morning. I saw one from Luke Edwards in the Telegraph, who covers a lot of Newcastle, and he was saying that Newcastle could ask for upwards of 20 million quid to get Dan Ashworth from St James's to Old Trafford. Now, at the moment, he's been put on gardening leave. Newcastle not too keen to let him go easily. I think United were expecting to pay about 10 million in compensation. Newcastle wanting 20 million. The latest reports are that United aren't going to pay anywhere near that. They're not going to just be sort of forced into spending a lot of money on someone who is, whilst he's very talented and whilst he's someone the club want, he's not a player, is it? It's a bit unheard of to pay 20 million quid for someone who's basically, you know, an administrator, for want of a better word. So I don't know what's going to happen there on that front. It doesn't look like either club are backing down at the moment, but United seem to remain pretty confident they can get their man. The fact Newcastle have put him on gardening leave indicates they're looking at potentially him leaving, but I don't expect him to leave upwards of 20 million. Let me know what you think in the comments about all this. Are you keen to see Dan Ashworth arrive at Manchester United? He seems to be a popular choice amongst a lot of United fans. Didn't know a lot about him. Looked at his CV. I've been very impressed. He's done good stuff at West Brom, England and Brighton as well, and obviously Newcastle been involved in some big transfers there, some good transfers more to the point, which is what we need at Manchester United Football Club. So maybe he could come in at Old Trafford and do some of the sort of deals that he's done at the previous clubs I've mentioned. But if we are going to get him, you're going to have to pay the big bucks. On potential incomings as well, I saw a report, I think this is from Give Me Sport via Ben Jacobs, who we've had on the channel quite a few times, saying that if United do want Jarrad Branthwaite, who does seem like a real target for the club, then we are going to have to go toe-to-toe with Tottenham. Apparently Spurs are looking at him. Even talk of Real Madrid being interested in the young centre-back as well. So a lot of talk there of other clubs looking at him. Manchester United might not have it all our own way. We have been linked with him for quite some time now. He's obviously doing very well at Everton this season. I think he's 21 years old, so a young centre-back, the kind of sort of player we should be bringing in here to the club. But looks like other clubs are interested in, which you can expect. If a player's doing well in the Premier League, he's going to get interest from elsewhere. So if United want him, we're going to have to go up against the likes of Tottenham and potentially Real Madrid, which does worry me a little bit. But we'll have to wait and see what happens on that front, whether we are going to have to go up against other clubs or where we get a free run at him. But I just hope whatever happens, we don't end up overpaying for him, because we've done that far too often in the past, and that is kind of the point of this new regime at Ineos, is we're not going to have our pants pulled down when it comes to transfers and overspend on players like we have done in the past. I mentioned earlier about Rob Edwards moaning about the 4 minutes that was added on at the end of the game at Kenilworth Road. He didn't feel like that was enough, and he sort of said, oh, well, it's Man United, innit? And this is this narrative building that United somehow get the rub of the green when it comes to decisions. I was watching Match of the Day 2 last night. I watched it because United won, and there was sort of criticism about Casemiro not getting his second yellow. The commentator even claimed that foul by Kobbie Mainoo was a deserved yellow card, which it wasn't a foul, it was a tackle, by the way, and I couldn't believe it was given as a yellow card. So it just seems like there's this narrative building that somehow United are getting the decisions, when the fact of the matter is, nothing could be further from the truth. I think if you look at what's gone on this season, and yes, I'm going to start moaning just so you won't, but I think I've right to. The United haven't been getting the decisions, and there's been a severe lack of consistency when it comes to the way Manchester United are being punished, and other clubs as well. Go back to the Spurs game, the Romero handball that wasn't given when Alejandro Garnacho had that shot. We see a few weeks later the same situation with the same player at the Emirates, and it's given as a penalty, and rightly so. It should have been a penalty, and it should have been a penalty for Manchester United as well. You look at the Casemiro yellow card at Aston Villa, that was never a yellow card, and there was a sort of meme going round of him questioning it. The Premier League posted that, the Premier League like mocking him for questioning what was an awful decision by one of their referees. I just don't get it. You look at the Delot red card at Anfield, how many times have we seen players kicking off or moaning worse than Diogo Dalot did when they get a decision go against them and they don't get a second yellow? We see it constantly. I've yet to see any of them get a second yellow the way Diogo Dalot did when Michael Oliver basically gave him 2 yellow cards in quick succession before he even had a chance to calm himself down. It's been ridiculous. I saw the Kobbie Mainoo tackle yesterday, a fantastic tackle, by the way, at Luton, never a foul, and he gets a yellow card given against him. I've already mentioned the Casemiro yellow card at Aston Villa. Going back even further, you look at the Rasmus Højlund penalty against Rodri here at Old Trafford when we played Manchester City. I was watching the City-Chelsea game the other day, and you saw Ruben Diaz getting his shirt pulled in the box. Now listen, I'm not going to start moaning because Manchester City aren't getting decisions. That's ludicrous to start claiming they're some victims of injustice. But let's face facts. We're seeing penalties given against United. We're not getting penalties we should be given. And yet in other situations, in other games, those penalties are either given or they're not. It's ridiculous. We're just not seeing a fair sort of consistency across the board when it comes to decisions against Manchester United. And you might think I'm moaning, but go and check out the decisions that I've spoken about. You must have seen them yourself over the course of the season. People say it evens itself out, but I don't think it does. And I think United have been hard done by this season. Yes, we haven't been playing as well as we should. We should be higher than we are in the Premier League table. That doesn't take away from the fact that when it comes to some of the decisions we've seen, whether it's VAR, whether it's referees, whatever you may say, it's just not been good enough. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. We're going to be back later on with the Paddock podcast, so make sure you're checking out that. Check out all the other videos as well that are up on the channel. I've been Jay Motti. This has been the Paper Talk outside Old Trafford. Thanks for watching.